Go ahead, say it.
Hey guys, welcome to Reading Wildcats to the Glory of God. And today we're going to talk about me with my seizures.
So, Josiah is 9 years old.
Yeah, I just turned 9 on July 14th.
And he has cerebral palsy that we didn't find out about till he was 10 months old, but they, through however they scanned things, decided he had a stroke, whether he was 28 weeks inside the womb or 28 days outside the womb. It happened sometime in that period, but we have nothing to think that it was labor. In labor, he looked good the whole time. There was never an idea that we had, that's Mark's phone, never an idea that we had low oxygen during labor. And there was never something afterwards. I'm an experienced mom, and with the extent of the damage that they saw on the scan, they feel that we would have seen something in a newborn where we knew what to expect in newborns, right? So they determined it was before he was born, but we didn't find out about it till he was 10 months old and started to try to move around, try to use his hand, that type of thing. When he was about 3.5, he started having seizures. At first, they were just focal seizures, which means they're centered in one part of the brain, but his were on his eyes. So for the longest time, I thought focal seizures meant they had something to do with your eyes. But he would look off to the left. He would look like a disobedient child who would not look at his mommy. He'd just look off to the left. We had one weekend where he was doing it a lot and he was throwing up. We called the doctor, went in, had MRI, EEG, and found out what was going on in his brain with the cerebral palsy and the epilepsy, right?
Yeah.
Is that where we were?
Yeah.
Okay, so we have been meeting for the last few months with a new neurologist. Our neurologist is retiring, so we moved to a new, it's still in the same practice, but moved to a new doctor. Her name is Dr. Craig, and she's very nice, right?
Yeah.
You like Dr. Craig? And we've been meeting with her for multiple months now, but it's all been focused on his epilepsy because we've been dealing with lots of seizures, and we're trying to get those under control. I feel like we have a lot of control of what's going on with his cerebral palsy and how we can help him with that. So it had been focused on epilepsy, but this past week we had an appointment with her about the epilepsy and another set of doctors from Boston Children's Hospital about the cerebral palsy, right? Okay, so here's the updates on what happened with that. A couple weeks ago, I think I've already talked about this, but a couple weeks ago we had an MRI and an EEG. And I don't know if I've done a full video on it, but the MRI was done to see if there was any changes in his physical brain matter. It's taking pictures of his brain, and we were just seeing if there was any extra cyst, anything growing, tumors, anything like that that was causing some of the extra seizures and behavior issues we've been seeing. And that came back that it all looks the same as it did then, possibly a little more growth. The neurologist is very impressed that the left side of his brain, okay, so the right side of your brain controls the left side of your body, and the left side of your brain controls the right side of your body. The midline is supposed to be in the middle. His left side, which is the good part of his brain, took over, and the midline is like here because the left side of his brain grew so much to compensate for what was happening on the right side. I also found out in this last visit, I think it's the cerebellum, is that right down at the bottom? Okay, Mark's in here, so I'm asking him. Coincides with the opposite side. So the left side is the right cerebellum. So his right cerebellum is bigger than the opposite way. So I didn't know that until today. The other day. So we did that. The MRI was all normal for what we were expecting from the last MRI we did. We've only done one when he was 3.5 and then again just now when he was 9. We also did an EEG. The EEG showed us that all of the seizures he had during the 20 hours that he had the thing on were seen in physical manifestations, so we're not missing any seizures. The only seizure activity that happened was the 2 seizures that I saw, and I said, hey, he's having a seizure. We marked it down on the machine. They also were looking for something that had to do with spikes of brain waves in the night, something called ESES. I don't remember exactly what that stands for right now, but that can be very dangerous. He had no signs of that, and I didn't want to Google it any further because it's not something we have to deal with, and I know that as a mom, you can sometimes Google things too much and scare yourself on things that you don't have to deal with. So he has no signs of whatever the ESES is, right? So that all showed up well. He's very tired today.
It's not so hot.
It's very hot here in Maine today. I know you people down south probably think we're just babies, but it's like 90 something out there today. It's supposed to get to 90 something. I don't know. It's very warm. We've been told it's dangerous heat and humidity. Like, that's what the Weather Channel says. So for us, this is crazy.
Yeah.
And we slept in the camper last night, so things were just a little different,
Yeah.
right? So the EEG and MRI came back good last week. That's what we talked to the doctor about. So right now, he is continuing on the full dose of CBD oil that he's been on. We have been cutting out... Epidiolex. It is a FDA-approved CBD oil. The brand name of it is...
We're not like buying it at the gas station.
Yeah. Yeah. Just buy those CBD drinks. No. It's, he gets a certain amount. He's on the highest dose he can be on. And he was currently on the Epidiolex and another medication called oxcarbazepine. We felt like the oxcarbazepine may not be doing anything. So a few weeks ago, we talked to the doctor and we started reducing his oxcarbazepine very, very slowly, because if you remember from a video months ago, he had, they were trying to take him off a medication. He was coming off too fast and he ended up in the emergency room. So we were taking it even slower than the doctor told us to take it, because we want to make sure that he's not having a reaction to it. So she was saying at our visit the other day that we could be off in 3 to 5 days. We're actually going to wean off it over like a 10-day period to just go slow, make sure he's not having any issues. Since we've been reducing the medication, we are only having 1 or 2 seizures a day. So we've actually kind of seen a reduction in seizures that were happening before. We don't know that his seizures are ever going to fully go away, because children with epilepsy, because of cerebral palsy, where it's happening in damaged brain tissue, do not react the same way to medication as children who have a full functioning brain that's for some reason having seizures. The medication just does not work the same. So we are getting off the oxcarbazepine. We have a plan with the doctor in a few weeks after his body has flushed out this to possibly try another medication, and we've already talked to her about the risks of that and what we need to do, and she will call that medication in as soon as we decide to start it. What else did she say about your epilepsy? He's working hard on therapy, the therapy program that we've been working on, that I've done a couple videos on, where he does all his crawling. That all is supposed to be a long-term help for his seizures. It's something that we're not going to see immediate help, but it's going to help his startle reflex and the parts of his brain that didn't get organized because of the brain damage to get reorganized. So that's all that we're working on. I think that's all the epilepsy information we had, right?
Yeah, and when I had my EEG on, I was doing my army crawling, and Daddy had to do it like a puppy.
Yeah, so when he was hooked up with all the things on his head, he had to carry a backpack with him that had the special computer in it. And when he was doing his army crawl, Daddy had to walk along behind him holding the bag, and so he looked like a little puppy on a leash, right?
Yeah.
It was silly. So we talked to the doctor about that, and then we also talked to a team of specialists. There was a doctor, I don't remember his official title of what he was. There was an orthopedic doctor, and then there was a medical student who was in doing a reassessment of seeing what the doctors were saying about Josiah. They found out that he has good range of motion. They asked what I was looking for in the visit, and we just have not had a cerebral palsy evaluation in a couple years. So just kind of seeing what numbers they were saying. So they were, they would flex his wrist and see how far it would flex, and they'd write down in the notes it's 20 degrees or whatever. I don't have the notes for all, I do somewhere, but I don't have them with me, all the notes of what they were saying. The only concern I had that we have not seen improvement on in therapy is his left foot turns in a lot, especially when he's tired. But when he's running, we really notice it. And they've been doing bracing and things. The program we're working with for physical therapy does not recommend bracing if you don't have to, because bracing can cause its own set of problems. And then talking to these doctors, they don't feel that any bracing is needed on his foot. The one thing I had said was I felt that the bracing actually made it turn in more, and the doctor confirmed that there's something called pendulum syndrome or something of that nature, that when it's already having a problem, putting extra weight on it actually causes it to turn in more. So no bracing was recommended. I hear a child outside the door. Hold on. What's wrong?
Hello.
You can come if you're gonna be quiet. Oh, you don't want to be quiet?
Maybe go see the sister.
Does he want some Cheerios or something? You want to get him some? Go get him a snack. It's hot, so everyone's just a little fussy. And he has cold water in a cup on the counter. Okay, so we weren't gonna talk about, like, we weren't planning on doing bracing unless it was something that was highly suggested. They did not suggest it for his foot. And the left foot, what they told us was, can you lay down on your belly with your head over here and your feet there so I can show them what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So they laid him down and they did.
You have to move your glasses.
Oh, thank you. Okay. So they laid him down on the bed and they did all kinds of stretching to see where his body went. But if you look at his leg, this is his good leg. So it goes, relax, okay? It goes out about 30 degrees and it goes in about 30 degrees. So when his foot's in the neutral position, it's about 0 degrees and goes straight forward. His bad leg goes in about 10 degrees and goes out about 60 degrees. So when it's in a neutral position, it's like here and twists. So that's the gist of why bracing necessarily wouldn't help, because it's a hip issue. We did have a hip x-ray done. Kids with cerebral palsy can have a problem with the hip joints because of how they walk funny. His is not something that needs surgery at this point, but they want us to do a reevaluation in 2 years because he's so tall, and because Mark and I are tall, he's expected to grow taller. They want to do...
Yeah, I can show them how tall I am.
You're 4'7".
Whoa.
So they want us to do a reevaluation in 2 years just because he's on the fast track of growth and just to make sure we catch a problem before it is a problem. They did suggest that we possibly do bracing on his left hand. It would be something I felt like I was actually listened to this time, because you can see that his left hand is affected both in the fingers and the wrist. And so, can I have your hand for a second? So when he does his crawling on his hands and knees, he can crawl like this with his fingers out. Or we can put his wrist down and we can get his fingers straight. But getting both the fingers, like all the fingers straight and the wrist, is that a little hard? Yeah. That's how all the braces have been done, is they immediately want to get the whole hand flat. And I talked to them and I said, there's too much going on in there. We need to work on one or the other or both at the same time, but we can't just get it to flat. I just didn't want you to kick my glasses. We'll get water in a second. And so they actually listened to me, and if we do bracing on his hand, which I have the possibility to try, it would be that we'd start a brace in like this position, and weekly we would go and get it moved up so that it would slowly get to that stretch. Again, not something we're talking about doing right now. Probably would wait till at least after baby and settled down before we decided to do that, because it would be a lot of weekly appointments. Something else they talked to us about that we're not going to be doing right now, but just for people who might be watching this who have kids with cerebral palsy, is they talked to us about Botox injections. It's a chemical, I guess you'd say, that they use a needle to put into muscles to tell the muscle to stop working, because like right now this muscles in his forearm are doing too much work, and so it would tell them to stop working a little bit so that these muscles could get worked on. It's something that we feel there's too many dangers to, and would not help Josiah be more functional at this time, because it would just be deadening a muscle. He doesn't have the ability to use these fingers correctly anyway, so I don't think that it would add to his function. It would just make his hand look more normal. There was a lot of that where it was when he gets self-conscious about how he walks, or if I think that he looks funny walking, we can do these different things. And we feel that God made Josiah in a perfect way. Our sin-fallen world has made kids that have disabilities and these different things, but this didn't surprise God. God wasn't like, oh no, Josiah can't use his foot. He knew that was going to happen. And we can embrace Josiah's disability. We can work at it the best we can for him to be able to be as functional as possible. But we also don't want to just start cutting things and putting in chemicals and things that are not going to help Josiah function better in life and are possibly going to cause risks for the future. So a lot of it was more of a cosmetic thing. And Josiah has lots of gifts, lots of skills, lots of strengths that we're going to build on. and get him to be the best little Josiah he can be, right? And not focus on those weaknesses.
Yeah, and people sometimes say, I want to take you home with me.
They do, because you're a very hard worker, right? And you're very loving and kind. Yeah. And so people always want to take you home.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it was just interesting to see, because it was definitely, they were okay with how we were managing the seizures and everything because of our lifestyle, because Josiah is home with me all the time, and we're always the ones who are able to manage his seizures. I don't feel a need to put him on, to continue throwing medications at him. A lot of kids get stuck on what they call like an epilepsy cocktail, where, you know, the kid is now on 7 drugs and yay, they don't have seizures anymore, but we don't know what's working for the seizures. Parents are just willing, I have the hiccups. Parents are just willing to keep putting drugs in them because they don't want the seizures to happen. And I understand not wanting the seizures to happen, but when you can control their environment, you can control who's there to keep them safe. I have a different risk of factors than someone who has to put their child on a bus or has a one-on-one at school, that if that one-on-one's gone, the next one-on-one may not be able to deal with them. Here in our household, between myself and Mark and a 17-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old daughter, 18-year-old daughter and a 14-year-old daughter, and then the younger kids even knowing things that they can do to help. Like, they know if Josiah has a seizure, someone can go get a pillow for him so that we can lay him down and let him take a nap. Everyone kind of has a part in it, and I don't worry about, you know, we have a baby coming in a couple months, and I'm going to have to leave for a few days to have this baby, right?
Yeah.
But I don't have to leave him with a stranger. He's still going to have family around that knows exactly what to do in these cases. So the doctor, because of our lifestyle, was willing to say, yes, it's okay that you guys are sitting and waiting on this, and you're not putting him in any danger in not getting the seizures stopped immediately as we're working on them. Does that make sense? Don't want that to sound harsh. Were there other things that I wanted to say on this? You wanted me to say on this video? I wanted to say on this video? It's hot. It's hard to think today. Did you have anything else you wanted to say on this video?
And so I fall down in my seizures, and I have a pen pal in Tennessee, and one time I almost fell, and she caught me.
Yes. We were staying with a family that has a lot of kids, right?
Yeah.
And their oldest daughter took you under her wing, and she was taking care of you, making sure that you were safe so you could go play with all the little kids, right?
Yeah, so Mommy could talk to the big kids.
So I could
I
talk.
didn't know she had wings.
So I could talk to the adults, and they were playing in places. Because of my Charcot-Marie tooth, it's hard for me to get to certain places. And so they were playing like up on the side of a hill building, which isn't an easy place for me to get to. So she was taking care of you, right? So that you could play just like all the other kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty nice of her. You like Alyssa, don't you? Yeah, we're going to go visit them in a couple months after this baby comes.
Yeah, because in winter, it's really cold, so, and my older sisters have
Raynaud's.
Raynaud's, and they're, veins.
Oh, okay. I was like, I don't know what word you're looking for. Yep, they're veins.
Break.
Yep. So they have Raynaud's, which if their hands get too cold, they start to turn purple, and the capillaries in their fingers can actually break and cause damage. So in the winter, we go away for a few months so the girls can still be out doing ministry. Like, we can be doing it as a family without the girls having health concerns for it,
And
right?
actually, we're going to do ministry tonight.
We're going to go do ministry tonight, but that's here in Maine on a really hot day.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Why are we doing ministry tonight? Do you remember what's going on?
Blue Fest or something?
Nope. The Boats, Homes, and Harbors show is going on, right? So we're going to go out and pass up tracts.
Yeah, I like passing out tracts.
He does. You like to pass out tracts a lot, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to go right now and do our Bible time. Oh, don't kick my glasses. We're going to go do our Bible time, and we're going to go get everyone to drink a whole bunch of water so nobody gets dehydrated today, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's our update on Josiah, this cute little guy right here. Thank you for joining us today on Herding Little Cows to the Glory of God. See you next time.
Bye.